Hello and welcome to IPL Shots with me, Shubhayan Chakravarti, and I'm joined by former England spinner Monty Panesar. Monty, the IPL seems to just blow off. I think 200 runs are being chased. It's only 10 matches, but we have seen a couple of super overs. How are you looking at the IPL this time?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on your show. I think it started from Rajasthan Royals, really, when they saw, they posted 200 and they did unbelievable, and then K Rahul, who scored 132. It kind of like just woke everyone up. It was like, actually, you know, it felt like in England it was feeling like, oh, this is quite a boring IPL, and then suddenly it's just woken up now, and we've had back-to-back wonderful games today and yesterday, and it's I think that's what the viewers want to see. I think people in India just want to see sixes and fours and 200 chase 200, and that's it. They don't want to see this 160 low totals. It just doesn't interest them, and I must say the IPL has served the nation.
I think if we talk about the match between Kings XI Punjab and Rajasthan Royals, Kings XI Punjab posted a mammoth 223 runs in 20 overs, courtesy KL Rahul and Mayank Agarwal's sensational ton. But then Rajasthan Royals, who were like out of the game at one moment, suddenly came back and chased down the total so easily. Rahul Tewatia smashed five sixes to Sheldon Cottrell. I mean, what can a bowler do when a batsman is hitting like that?
Yeah, it's just the pitches are small, and that's something I think the bowling coaches got to consider. That what do we do at death? How do we bowl when even let's say 50 or 60 runs is required in the last 4 to 5 overs? And slower ball cutters. Like I'm not seeing anyone. I don't think anyone has the courage to bowl slower ball bumpers.
Yes.
You know, they just think the ball's going to sit up and then they can just whack it into the stands. But the fast, the back of the length balls are going into the stands as well. So, there needs to obviously, it's great to see, 200 chase 200, but you don't want it to be throughout the whole tournament a completely batting dominant, IPL. It will really demoralize the bowlers. So I think the bowlers have got to work out a way of how do we bowl at the death. We should do. What are our crucial balls? The wide ball Yorker. They don't bowl it enough, and I'm just not seeing the slower ball. The slower ball bumper in England is so effective, and maybe it's because the guys can hit the ball further in the IPL. But there's got to be a fast bowler out there who thinks, actually, you know what, I've got the courage to do it. I'm going to bowl a slower ball bumper, have fine leg up, and say, right, hit this out of the ground. And, if you miscues it, you may get a wicket.
And in today's match between Royal Challengers Bangalore and Mumbai Indians, 90 runs were scored in the last 5 overs. I mean, Ishan Kishan and Kiran Pollard belted everyone all over the park. So, you have played so much of international cricket. What goes into the mind of a bowler when a batsman is hitting so sweetly?
You actually get afraid. I remember when Gilchrist hit me for three sixes, you completely forget your whole process. Your clarity of thought goes away because all you're seeing is this big guy just hitting you for a six, and that's where you got to take time out of the game. And I think that this is the area where the likes of the fast bowling coaches, there's plenty of them around in every team. It'll be interesting to see which fast bowling coach can come up with a plan on UAE pitches to stop the batsman actually hit sixes and fours. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
So now that the IPL has just blown off, what are your thoughts? With the dew factor, the pitch is becoming a bit drier. Do you think this momentum will continue during the course of the IPL, like 200 runs being scored and being chased?
I'll be disappointed if it does, because then it would show that the fast bowling coaches don't actually have a plan on how to stop the flow. But they've got to somehow work out a way. Right, like today, Hardik Pandya, beautiful, lower arm fast bowl, and everyone's thinking, well, what's that ball all about? Fast bowlers, spinners are doing it. Spinners You know, they chuck that ball up in the air, and if it goes for six, great. If it doesn't, you know, they get wickets. I think the spinners are showing a bit more courage than the fast bowlers. You know, so someone like Cottrell, I think, is a one-trick pony, and he really needs to sort of think to himself and think, right, how do I stop the bowler? Where do I get my next dot ball from? You know,
And
and that's what it is. And yeah,
as you said that the spinners are being very courageous. I mean, let's take an example of Yuzvendra Chahal. I mean, he's a very aggressive bowler. He flights the ball up, and he's not afraid to get hit. So, do you think that's the way out for the bowlers to bowl aggressively and not being afraid of just getting smashed out of the park?
yeah. Look, the thing is, if you're going to bowl it into the pitch and think I'm just only going to go for a dot ball, then you know that's great. But then at the backhand, batsman is just going to go after you, you know. And I think the spinners have to continue to think to themselves, I am going to throw the ball up in the air and get the batsman out. And if it goes for a six, fine, but at least you're giving yourself a chance to get a wicket. And same with the fast bowlers, you know. Fast bowlers, they've got to have a really good Yorker and bowl these slower ball cutters, you know, back of the hand. You know, these kind of variations, I don't think we're seeing enough from the fast bowlers.
And now Mumbai Indians have lost two matches. I mean, defending champions are getting beaten in this tournament. What are your thoughts on Mumbai Indians? The team is really good, but they are failing to get those wins in their bag.
Yeah, well, today's match was brilliant. It was a tied match, and it was. I think it was probably fair to say that you know that's the strength of Mumbai Indians. You know, they can't take them out. They're a very strong team this year. But it's going to be. I think the IPL is quite open this year. You don't know which team is going to win and which team's going to be. I think at the moment I'm looking at Punjab Kings, Delhi Capitals, Rajasthan Royals. You know, they're the teams I think you know could have got enough variation in their attack to cause some damage.
And even Royal Challengers Bangalore, they already have two wins in their bag, and they have never started so strongly in the tournament. And in my opinion, if they can get their bowling combinations right, I think they can go far in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I think their batting is always going to be their strength, and you know, Virat Kohli hasn't even fired yet, but they don't need him to. You know, they've got such a strong batting lineup, and even if he does, there'll be another batsman who probably fails. So they've got like a strong batting lineup. But I do believe that yeah, they have to get that combination right. They need to know: do we play Dale Steyn? Do we play Adam Zampa? What about Moeen Ali? You know, that combination is always going to be in Virat Kohli's mind. But it's you know it's great to see. You know, we've got just the Premier League started in England, and we've got big games. It's great for us. We can watch some great games of IPL. Then we switch on, you know, to Arsenal, Liverpool soon, and this is it. You know, it's a bit cold here in England. It's a bit wintry. People are at home, and I'm telling you, IPL, like Saurav Ganguly said, is the best league in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. Moving to the next match, your favorite team for this IPL 2020, Delhi Capitals are in action against Sunrisers Hyderabad, who are yet to win a game. So, what are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, look, I think Delhi Capitals look strong now because even though they don't have Ashwin, I think it's the background coaching of Ricky Ponting. You know, he's got a young captain there, and he's a courageous captain, and he's going to grow. I think game by game. So yeah, I think Delhi Capitals look strong. You know, for this match against Sunrisers.
And before we wrap up, which player, one batsman and one bowler, which players have impressed you the most in this IPL tournament so far?
Well, I think for me, KL Rahul. You know, I think when he bats, he's probably the best batsman to you know to watch in the world. He just doesn't do it very often. That's the only problem. And I think you know Virat Kohli is a much more consistent batsman. And I think this is, you know, this is up to KL Rahul. This could be the tournament for KL Rahul, which really launches his own career into the next stage. You know, like we saw with Virat Kohli. And probably the best bowler, you know, at the moment is. Again, for me, is the Punjab, not Punjab King, sorry, is Chahal, you know, from Every time he gets a ball in the hand, he's just taking wickets, and he's his go and Virat Kohli's go-to man. So he's going to be an important part in this team. But I also like the development. In the back of my mind, I know if I was part of the committee of the BCCI, I'll be thinking, how are the younger players developing along? And the left-hander at RCB is doing really well. The two young leggies, in Kings Punjab 11,
Yes.
Anil Kumble is mentoring them really well. I think they both look a handy prospect. And Samsu,
Samson,
from Rajasthan Royals, he's like, if he keeps playing like this, I think he could have an automatic selection in the national team.
I think you mentioned it very well. I mean, RCB's opener, left-handed opener, Devdutt Padikkal, he is coming on the back of a very good domestic season. He was the highest run getter in Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy and Vijay Hazare Trophy. So I mean, he is continuing that momentum and is looking very strong. And even under the guidance of Anil Kumble, the young Ravi Bishnoi, who impressed in the Under-19 World Cup, he's coming very good. And I mean, as you said, they are the ones to look forward to the IPL to 2020.
Yeah, I think there's one area where you look at how the IPL is as the games that it's producing, but also from an Indian perspective, you're always going to have an eye on the younger players. How are they developing through these pressure situations? And you've got the captaincy at the Delhi Capitals, where Ricky Ponting, young captain, he's coming through really nicely. Future leader for Indian cricket. And we've got obviously the young spinners, got this young left-hander from RCB, and I think that's where the Sunrisers are lacking a little bit. I think the young domestic players are just not standing up. They're relying too much on Johnny Bairstow, David Warner, Rashid Khan, and the domestic players need to just come through a little bit and come through the ranks. So yeah, it's turning out to be a really good tournament now. Second week, I think thumbs up.
Double thumbs up from Monty Panesar. So that will be it for this episode of IPL Shorts. Thanks for joining in. Stay tuned to WION.